morning, everyone. I'm Megan Cullup, along here with Scott Michlin.
Good morning. It's Friday morning.
It's our
Solutions from the Street morning.
Yes,
right?
It is.
So we're back.
We are back.
This is our kind of new schedule. Every other week, Solutions from the Street.
Correct.
Right? And then next week we'll be back doing our COVID show.
Right. Right.
Which is
if
back.
we could just find a solution for that.
Boy, if we could, but we're working on it. So anyway, but this week we have a unique solution to a unique problem, don't we?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But the problem has been, what do you do if, you have a child or a member of your family who maybe suffers from a disability or has a disability, right? And what do you do for recreation? What do you do for play? Some of those types of things. And that's what brings us to our solution, right?
That's right. Did you know,
And it came
Scott
from the
Michlin?
Street. What did I not know?
Did you know?
I already know I don't know it.
My undergrad degree was in special education.
I did not know that.
This is something.
Did you leave that off of your resume when I hired you?
Did I have a resume when you hired me?
That's another very good point. Okay.
But
you came highly recommended, as I recall, so maybe there really wasn't.
That's all you need. Yeah,
that's right. And you're at will anyway, so.
Right. That's right.
But we love having you here. Just to be clear, everyone.
Okay. Yes. So anyway, near and dear to my heart, right?
Right.
There are a sundry of different disabilities that exist out there, and this is an exciting project because we got a little preview of the proposal, and it extends beyond what I was imagining when I heard All Abilities Park. I was just thinking playground equipment that can accommodate kids in wheelchairs or kids that have visual problems or hearing problems. I wasn't necessarily imagining the ambitious extent that we're going to talk about, which I love. A good, ambitious dream, so it's exciting. But
that's true.
Yeah.
And this literally came from the street.
It did come from the street. Well,
it's a solution from the street.
Right, and a solution out of the literal rubble.
Yes.
This is where the Tibbetts Middle School used to be.
Right, so. That's true. So that's what we're talking about this week, everybody. It is the All Abilities Park, and there's been a lot of movement in this in just the last couple of weeks. And so our guests who are patiently waiting for us to introduce them as they just watch us aghast, talking back and forth, are here to talk about this project and why it's so exciting for Farmington and for the schools and for children. And so anyway, let's get right to them and let's introduce them. Marilyn Montoya is here. She is a member of the foundation that was formed for this project. And I might go as far as saying you are one of the founding members of that foundation. Would that be accurate?
That is correct.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here, and congratulations. We're thrilled to have you.
As is my partner here, Christa Kulidge.
Krista is here too. Krista Kulidge from the Farmington Municipal Schools. She is the Director of Exceptional Programs. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Good to have you here as well. An important partner for this project. And so let's talk about that, Marilyn Montoya. When did this first start about thinking about the need for an All Abilities Park, and then B, looking at that site of the old Tibbetts school property as maybe a location for it?
Well, I am a retired counselor in high school, and when I retired, I'm not a sit-at-home-and-do-nothing person. So my husband had cards printed up that says, business cards say professional volunteer.
Okay.
And so in one of my other volunteer hats, I was doing eye screening at the special ed preschool about 4.5 years ago for the Lions Club. And they brought this little girl in a wheelchair. And the process you have with the Lions Club, you have to be able to see their eyes really wide. And so, it's like, honey, open your eyes really wide like you're on a swing. And her caregiver said, she's never been on a swing. And I said, okay, well, like a minion, get your eyes real wide. And so we got the picture and got her out.
Okay.
I'm a grandmother and a great-grandmother. And the thought of having a child that I couldn't take to the park just struck me. It just broke my heart. So I contacted some friends, Katie Ashley, who is our president, Katie Ashley Harper, Krista, a few others, and we started looking at what is this lost demographic of our population. And Krista was very, very helpful. She we wanted to, I was driving by, actually going to a retired educators luncheon, and I saw the
Right.
Tibbetts property, and I was like, that's my park. That has got to be the park we put in. That's a place for it. Plenty of room, plenty of no traffic problems because there's bus traffic. So
That's how it started.
that's how it started.
And Christa Kulidge, pick up the story from there, would you mind?
Well, and Marilyn doesn't give herself enough credit, quite frankly. She really is the grassroots of this entire movement. I have been a special educator for 37 years now, and it's been something that my colleagues and I have been very well aware of, that children in our area and the entire Four Corners, quite frankly, don't have the same kinds of access. The state has dealt with a lawsuit called Yazzie Martinez, which is all about equity and equal access, and so it really has helped propel this whole project because it's made school districts much more aware about making sure that we're providing equitable services to all children. And so when Marilyn came to me the first time and said, hey, I have this idea, are you interested? I said, absolutely. I am on whatever you need. I will support as much as I possibly can, both professionally and personally. So it really started out with just kind of this small group of people getting together and having conversations and what could this look like and how could we move forward and what needs are out there besides wheelchair accessible swings. Because when people think of disabilities, that's what they tend to think of. Those kids who are visually impaired or motor impaired. What they don't think about is those kids with autism and sensory needs, those kids who are hearing impaired and can't hear the traffic, are kids who tend to elope and like to run. And seeing how many parks we have in Farmington already and how few are actually accessible is really where our conversation blossomed. And then looking at the old Tibbetts property and just looking at the perfect location for everybody in the Four Corners, not just Farmington.
It's a big site. It's a big area. We'll show just a minute just what we're talking about, of course. And that was one thing that struck me. Farmington is known for its parks, and it's in city statute that we have a certain number of parks within a certain distance of neighborhoods and things along that line. And so it is really interesting that there isn't more parks for this particular demographic as we've been talking about. And I want to bring Megan into the conversation because she's sitting here looking at me. But I'm sure you have a question.
That's what you were going to say after the because.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it'd be cool to get into some of the details on what the park will look like, and then I'll have a follow-up question after that. But let's talk about that because, like I said, it's something that is hard to imagine, I think, because it's a broader image than when you say All Abilities Park, people are going to think about. So, and then that makes sense why the fundraising goal is as high as it is, too, rightfully so, when you hear about it. So go ahead and talk about that.
Okay, well, I would like to just give a little bit. We got statistics to back up. Farmington has 58 parks. 34 of those have play structures in them, and of that 34, 25 have what they call adaptable equipment. Now, one of the things I will tell you, I've learned a great deal.
I bet.
Adaptable does not mean accessible. A door could be ADA adaptable. I mean, meet those guidelines. But if it's at the top of the stairs and it's not accessible, then, where's the good in it? Of those adaptable, it's a bucket swing that holds a child from 2 to 5 years old, and it's got a sandy bottom, so you couldn't roll a wheelchair over to it. So that's where Christa was just over the moon, helped get statistics from all of the districts around. We included Dulce and our neighbor Durango. we found that there are close to 4,000 children that are identified as in the disabled label, which I don't like labels, but for this purpose it does.
Sure.
So that's for close to 4,000 children that have limited access to playground.
And there's nothing else like this in the region, correct? This would be the first of its kind, would it
The
not?
closest one is in Albuquerque. It's called A Park Above. Is that
Rio
right?
Rancho.
In Rio Rancho.
Same difference.
Yeah, and it's
Really.
it is really a nice park. I mean,
But it's 3 hours away.
it's 3 hours away, and what I recently learned is it is so popular that if you want your child to have a chance on the wheelchair swing, you have to reserve it. You have to make an appointment.
Wow. Wow.
And I learned that sadly the hard way, because one of the students that I was visiting with on one of our video said, his mom said, we drove to Albuquerque. He's never been on a swing. We were going to get him on this swing. We didn't know you have to make an appointment, and we weren't able to get him on the swing. And I was just like, oh no, that's not going to happen here. So yes.
Right. And so, go ahead. You had a follow
Well,
up.
I do have a follow-up, and Krista, I think maybe you'd be best to answer this, and that's just about the importance of play with children.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you want to go into that a bit.
Absolutely. So when you look at development of all the senses in children, one of the most critical components to improving any of those skills and strategies is play. It's one of the reasons why our preschools are required to provide an hour of play learning out of their 3-hour day. So there's the research is irrefutable around the critical nature of the vestibular motion, the sensory input, the expanding of muscle memory, looking at this turn-taking idea. The number of skills involved in accessing opportunities to play are limitless, quite frankly. And when you have a student with a disability, it really requires not just one modality of teaching them those skills and strategies. You really have to be multimodal and look at how do we incorporate visual and auditory and just the multisensory approach.
Great.
Very,
Thank you.
very good. I wanted to show everybody who's watching us on video a little bit of the property. I think everyone's familiar with the old Tibbetts property, and as Megan said, the major part of the building is no longer there, and so the property's been kind of flattened and is ready to go, I guess, for a project like this. But Megan will be shocked to see that we sent the drone up to get footage of the property that we are talking about. Actually, this is Farmington Schools, but they still sent the drone up, and so we're going
KSJE
to.
is a drone?
Yeah, no, they didn't, but we're going to show a little bit of this. But it's a big acreage, right?
It's over 7 acres.
And that's enough for this project,
Yes.
or it's suitable for. And we see the track, and I know a lot of folks in that neighborhood use the track. Is that something you'd want to keep as part of the park, or what are your thoughts about?
Okay, let me just explain that we are a partner with the city. The city actually now owns that. So the foundation, the Tibbetts All Abilities Park Foundation, or the TAP, we are going to be supplemental in it.
I see.
Our input to when they get down to the nitty-gritty is keep the track, but improve it, widen it, make it all accessible so that wheelchairs, trikes, adapted bicycles are all comfortable using that surface, as well as walkers, moms with strollers. They don't get caught up in that red clay. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
We may want to extend it to do the whole area. You know, the design right now is still real. I mean, it's not even Jello stage. It's still in the water stage. So we're going to be going out into the community and saying, come and give us your input. Tell us what it is that you see that's important for this park.
Sure.
Our ideal park, we have visited too, the Rio Rancho Park, and a park in Round Rock, Texas. In Round Rock, Texas, that is our goal.
And we're
That
showing
is
a
our
picture
dream.
of that right now.
That's the track that they have. It's called the Speedway. And off to the right, you'll see the bays that are there. That was a donation from one of the car companies. And in each of the bays, it has a learning facility. While we were there, this little boy came in, not the one that's showing, but it was a littler guy. He came in on his tricycle and he said, "You want me to show you how to air up your tire?" And, I mean, he was maybe 6. And I said, "Oh, yes." And so they have the instruments that show, I mean, so that you could practice airing up your tire. He didn't do it, obviously. And then he said, "You want me to show you how to put gas in your car?" Absolutely. So we go to the next bay, and he takes the nozzle off, and although nothing came out, he showed me that, and that part of it is in the adult daily living, learning those skills, how to air up a tire in your bicycle or on your car. So each of those items have a learning component to it as well as a play component. The Round Rock is, someone once said, a goal is just a dream written down. And this is our goal, to have this similar or better, starting with the pod that has the play area and then moving to the adult daily living skills area, which is called the village. So, yeah.
Gotcha. And so it sounds like maybe phases are how
Exactly.
you are approaching this project.
Exactly. The first phase, and this is just a very rough estimate, would be the playground area, and we're estimating around $5 million. The foundation is actively fundraising. We want to be able to supplement, to improve, to upgrade. You know, the city is confined by purchasing procedures. They have to take everything to bid, and then whatever comes in at the lowest bid. One of the examples was when they built the animal shelter.
Mm-hmm.
The first in for the cages was like a cheap cage. And the Animal League said, no, that we want something that's nice for our animals. And so through their fundraising efforts, they were able to upgrade all of the cages at the animal shelter. In similar format, that's what we want to do. If
Right.
we want 6 wheelchair swings, and they're only allowed to do 2, then we want to be able to say, no, we'll pay for the other 6.
So you don't have to reserve a swing, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go. And so $5 million was $1
For the
amount
first,
for the first phase, and as you mentioned, this is in cooperation with the city, who now owns the property, and that was the news story of the last couple of weeks. Is the school district and the city came to an agreement to take over that property, and so it kind of makes sense from a management type of who's going to manage this type of thing and maintain it. The city already has a lot of expertise in parks and recreation, and so they are a willing partner in this with you.
Yes, and I want to say that we have had exceptional communication and cooperation with the Parks and Rec Division. Shauna and Natalie are just awesome to work with. When we were ready to give up and say, you know, let's just go to another piece of ground, this is never going to happen, they kept saying, don't give up on it, don't give up on it. And so we did the happy dance that Thursday afternoon after the school board voted, because I think it's going to benefit all of San Juan County, just like Krista said, and more so.
That's great.
How many years has this been in the making? I mean, it's been in the making for a while, because I remember listening to you guys practice your pitch.
4.
Yeah,
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. So that's a lot of work for this solution.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, and we're not there yet, because obviously it's going to take a bit more time to raise the money and have a ribbon cutting or groundbreaking or something. I know you probably can't wait to get out the golden shovels and get the hard hats on the mayor and maybe the superintendent and some other folks to see that. But what do you have a timeline of your hopes to
Well,
push this
okay.
forward? What do you think?
hopes would be one thing, reality raises its
Marilyn,
nasty head.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
You know, the city has certain requirements that they have to go through. I think one of the most important is the scope and sequence that they will be doing. We hope to get be participants in that. There'll be paperwork that goes out that says, what is it you want in this park? And that will be a pretty broad community thing. Different stakeholders, whether it's a Center for Independent Living, autism, art, what is it you want in the park? And then all of those scopes will come together. They'll be finalized into a master, and from there, then they help me.
Then they'll go out for bids.
Okay.
So there's the RFP process,
Right.
the request for proposals, and they're really already having conversations around looking for proposals coming from companies that have some experience
Makes sense.
in building these kinds of structures. So that's going to be a really big piece. And then after that all gets through its various steps, we'll actually start looking at the planning phase.
I
So
see.
it's going to be a while.
Right.
And like Marilyn said, the city is just amazing. We've really been working in collaboration, and they've listened to us. I mean, we're well aware that this is the city's project and that we are a stakeholder. It's not our project anymore, and that's okay, because the city has the resources to build this and manage it and maintain it. But we're thrilled that they're actually asking for our input. So.
Got it. Well, that's good. And of course, that sounds like to me then folks who are listening and watching us this morning who have something to say about this will have an opportunity to present their thoughts to the city and to you through this process.
Yes.
Before any ground is broken and
There
things
will
like
be,
that.
pardon me, Scott, there'll
Yeah.
be lots of community meetings in which they are asked to come and give their. I know that one of the big things that the autism support group has is shade, you know, and so our part of that is, okay, the city may have this much to spend on shade, and we may have this much. So if you want more, go out, raise some funds, and help purchase part of it.
Right.
You can either make donations through the foundation or directly to the city. One of the complimentary things is on their website, they're going to put a link to our foundation with a PayPal button. So if you want to donate $10 or $10,000, we will gladly accept it through that PayPal.
There you go. That
Good.
makes sense.
And so let's talk about ages represented. So we've focused on children and the importance of play in children, which I would further that and say, when we're talking about all abilities, if they don't have an opportunity to play, then their development is going to be further stifled, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
To me. So that's important to mention, I think. But also adults, because part of that other part that I've been teasing people about this other ambitious part of this plan, involves what to do when we have adults that have disabilities, or including an adult that had regular abilities and then had a traumatic injury to the brain or to their body in some way and now have to relearn skills they once possessed. So what does the park offer older folks?
Very good question. One of the grants that we were working on, Paul Cutler, Dr. Paul Cutler, was one of our spokespeople. Interviewees was the word I was looking for early, and he gives his story. You know, he was a very prominent surgeon here in Farmington. And one night he got up, fell, got a brain clot, and had a stroke. And he will tell you, within the matter of a few minutes, hours, he went from an able-bodied surgeon to one of the people who is now in a wheelchair. Dramatically changed his life. And so he's going to be one of my presenting partners when we go out into the community, because he feels very strongly that this type of a park will benefit not just children. And when we say children, we mean children from birth to death, because we're all children at some point. Developmentally disabled children could be 45 or 50 years old. So that's that. Someone who's had a traumatic brain injury, someone who's been in a car wreck, lost a limb, they need places to practice those living skills, getting in and out of a car, walking across the street. One question I asked Paul was, in your wheelchair, when you first went downtown, going to dinner or something, how frightening was it to cross the street? And he was like, it was scary. Mm-hmm. The first time I did it, it was scary. Well, if he had been able to practice that and know where the curbs were and how to get around them, it might have been less scary for him. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah. It's powerful.
Right, very true. And so the park would hope to include all of these things that we're talking about.
That's the second phase, yeah.
Got you. Very, very good. And so we just have a couple of minutes remaining this morning, so let's talk nitty-gritty. If folks they want to touch that PayPal button and money's burning a hole in their pocket, you said they can reach it through the city's Parks, Recreation, Cultural Affairs page.
Correct.
But is there another way to do it?
If you want to send checks, they can be sent to the TAAP, Tibbetts All Abilities Park, at 804 East Navajo, Farmington, 87401.
Yep. Okay.
I'm telling you, it's early.
That'll work. Very good. Or they can go through the city's website.
Correct.
With the PayPal button, and I'm sure that they and we will be hearing more about this project as the weeks go on, as you start gathering more information and things along that. But this is an important first step, and I want to make sure everyone understands that this is a big deal.
And we do have an email. It's lowercase taapnm@gmail.com.
Okay.
So if you want to be in touch with us, if you'd like us to come and make a presentation to your organization, if you have grants, if you're with a company and your company has grants that you think we might qualify for, please get in touch with us. And could I also, if no other way, if they've forgotten everything else, could they contact you all?
Of course.
And you pass it on along? So
We'd love to do that. You bet. They can contact us here, so that would be great. We're happy to forward on the information to both of you.
People can also use Zelle through their bank.
That's what all the kids are using. I know that.
Our nonprofit does have a nonprofit account through Wells Fargo.
Okay.
So they can actually transfer money that way as well if they're interested in making a donation through that.
Right.
I also wanted to mention, because they're an often forgotten group as well, as our veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Yeah.
So working with the VA and our veterans organizations.
Wonderful.
yeah.
Well,
the Daughters of American Revolution have pledged to be a sponsor for some equipment, and so
okay.
That's
wonderful. Well, again, it's an exciting first step, and we're thrilled about this solution from the street to bring it back to the name of the show.
That's right. That's why we have the show.
That's
Inspiring stories like this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So once again, congratulations to both of you and the rest of the foundation. Again, we're thrilled. And we know you'll be on again to give us an update as things move forward. So
we will.
Please
Happily.
come
we
back.
thank you for inviting us.
Yes,
Thank you guys.
Glad to have you here. Thank you so much. It is the new Tibbetts All Abilities Park here in Farmington, part of the Tibbetts All Abilities Foundation, and they are accepting donations, business sponsorships, and much, much more, and you'll hear more about this exciting project as the weeks go on.
Yeah. So we'll be back, next week with COVID, and the following week with another solution from
Let's
the street.
say we'll be back next week with the COVID show.
The COVID. Yeah. That's,
Okay.
That's true.
How's that?
We don't, yeah.
But in 2 weeks, we'll be back with another solution from the street.
That's right.
Thanks for being with us, everybody. Have a great day.